All right, so we got the long-awaited Ben. I've been trying to grab you from the stage. Welcome to the live podcast in New York, and you've been a hit so far.
Well, so far it's been very exciting. I understand Kai has blamed me for us having to do this year by sitting here last year and talking into a mic and going, "Why don't we do this next year?"
Yep.
And here we are. It's terrifying, but it's also very exciting to get to really control the conversation the way that Big sees the world of architecture.
Well, tell me what's terrifying, because I'll tell you from the outside.
It's public speaking.
Sure.
How's that?
But you do, I think a lot of people will be intimidated by the work that you guys do as a firm, in that it goes far above and beyond your typical business as usual project. So there's so much to learn and to share, and I'm sure you're seeing that today.
Right. It is, and to be honest, that's why we love sharing it, because we show that it's possible. I mean, we've talked to manufacturers, fabricators who can build things that there was a point where we could draw things, make a model out of them that you couldn't build. We can build almost anything now. Fabrication has come so far in my lifetime. It's mind-boggling, actually.
In mine too.
Yes.
And you have less gray hair than I do. But,
I know.
So I'm gonna push you on this one, because this is a topic I'm very passionate about, coming from the facade consultant side to the manufacturing side to the contractor side. I haven't seen everything, but I've seen a lot of the different angles and how this can be challenging. Getting intentional project specifications aligned with the project intent from a budget standpoint, a performance standpoint, and aesthetic standpoint, and all the above. How often I run into project specs that I know are rinse and repeat from the last project, and certain line items are overlooked or not applicable to that project today. And that disconnect, when the contractor comes in to give their final pricing and they're advised, communicate through the general contractor. Don't be going to my architect right now.
Right.
Architect, I'm handcuffed.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be talking to you right now.
Yes.
So I think this is a systematic challenge and problem that needs to be addressed.
I think you're talking a lot about the idea of like this voluminous specification versus this more succinct narrative that is truly, laying out the design intent. Those 2,000 pages of specification that we pretend nobody is going to read them. And so we make them as if nobody is going to read them. I don't, but that can happen. So when you do need to read it, you read it and you go, that doesn't even match my project. And that's often because the specifications are put together later in the construction of the documents. What I love about the narrative, the design intent narrative, preliminary project description, call them whatever you want, words. I wish I could change my name to Ben Caldwell, architect and director of words. I would be so much better than specifications, because that's really what we're talking about. We're trying to tell the story with words and lines to the owner so that they understand what they're getting, and then to the estimators and contractors about how they're going to then now tell me how much that's going to cost and how much is it, and how to build it. And if I do that with a whole bunch of like detailed minutia about the drywall or the screws and the things that are really, everybody knows those things already, but they don't know what we want it to look like, how we want it to feel when the project is complete. And that design intent that we can write, we have words to describe buildings. You talk about the assemblies instead of the parts.
So what are your thoughts, and where my brain went, I recently did a video on saying, if you look at an IGU makeup, it tells a story, the design intent, the performance criteria, safety elements, bird friendly, all these things.
Right.
A 1,000-page spec book becomes too conflated and you could go down deep rabbit holes and misconstrue a lot of base assumptions. What if we start from a place more of performance criteria and targets, and how the manufacturer wants to get there is up to them. What glass infill, how they thermally break their window frame, all these various things.
Sure.
One thing being compliant with code, but I think, are we headed more in a stage of that design narrative element that's more digestible?
I hope so. How's that for an answer? Because that design intent, that those words that you're talking about, those are the things that first off the owner can understand, and so they know what they want. They have no, owners are really smart, of course, but they don't know whether they need which ASTM as an example.
They don't want to know. That's why they hire the architect.
That's right. But they do want to know that this assembly is going to perform and it's going to look the way they're expecting it to look. So the part that I love about the narrative description of a project versus the specification description of a project is that I can get the design. In our office, the design team, the people who are designing the project, work on that document. It's unheard of, the words that are coming out of our architecture office, the specifications normally, those happen by a specification team during, if you're lucky, halfway through design development. The design intent is already established. And now the specification writer is being asked to interpret these drawings and put them into words. How about if the design team actually helped you craft those words and put that narrative together? And because it's, first off, because we've used the word narrative instead of specifications, they're like, I do know more about this than I think I do.
Do you think designers are left in a little bit of a silo when it comes to getting price feedback before a general contractor is onboarded? So you're in those 50 SD, 100% SD, and you know what you want. You have an idea. Is there enough interaction with the material suppliers to get a better sense of this is going to cost this, but we can only source this from
that's
here?
One of the great parts about the narrative, because it's an assembly. If I again, to use the poor old drywall screw as an example, I do care, but what that drywall screw costs, which is in the specification under drywall, I can get prices on that, but that's not going to do me any good. If I have a double layer drywall with sound insulation in it, somebody, the estimator actually knows how much that costs to build. And if we've put together our documents early on as assemblies, we can get like an amazingly accurate price very quickly. The computer can do marvelous things like takeoffs of a double layer drywall system, drywall partition with acoustic insulation in it in about 10 seconds. Probably less than that.
I have heard recent feedback in, I would say, many markets, uniform, that facade consultants either onboarded by the architect to develop the glass glazing specs, the aluminum curtain wall window specs, they're struggling because contractors are disregarding the specs and bidding the projects how they want to bid them to be competitive to get the job. I have so many questions where we could go here.
There is a comfort level with every contractor. If they've worked with Bob and Susan's facade company before, they are going to go to them because they're very comfortable. They know what they're going to deliver. Often for us in particular, we're often the out-of-state architect. We don't even know who the best fabricator might be in that area. We'll try to find out. We'll try to work with so we rely on the contractor to help us get to that person earlier. So if who are you going to have build this building for us? Can we start talking to them also?
Is that a firm-wide approach? If you're trying to win over, you're bidding a job, you're competing against 3 other architecture firms, you're saying, we're building this dorm in this new region, we don't have experience. We need to be integrated with your construction team deeper at an earlier stage.
that's a trickier question about how, uh,
Is that the goal? That's the goal.
the goal is to try to, of course, design the right building for the right price to our ethos and and interpreting the client's needs. So
That's the thing that I think it's important to remember. There's no right or wrong. It's
Right.
understanding the client's objectives and goals and aligning everybody. to
so
make that happen.
often when we are working in a new area, we will align ourselves as a team. I mean, we are often asked to align with a team to make a proposal for a building. I'm sure we don't really like to do a design for a building when we're competing. That's giving away architecture services. We try our very best to demonstrate that we're going to listen, and we show by example that we have listened, and give the client a level of comfort that we will give them the building they hope for. And again, with the price that they are, they may, there's some nudging that we often have to do for the price. There's a hope for price, and then oh well, I'm not going to get it for that price, but this is more, okay. If not that, it's this, but it's not this. Way over here.
You're onboarding, final question, you're onboarding a new team member onto your team, young architect that wants to be deeply ingrained in specifications. Out of all the project stakeholders, who do
By the
you
way, I give him a big hug, or her a big hug.
welcome? Thank you. Yeah. Who would you encourage them most to have a deeper relationship with, in the sense of talk to the owner more, the client, focus more on the material suppliers, focus more on this. That'll help you actualize what it is that you're trying to achieve.
Well, my gut reaction is we talk to our HR department, PR department, who set up the contract, and our legal department, who gives everybody a copy of the contract. What is our deliverable? The question of deliverable is so important when we're doing any work. If we get so excited about doing a new project, and it turns out all we need to do is the site plan. We've designed them a whole building.
Right.
We've talked about it. We have yet to. We're not as good at this as I wish we were. But what an ideal situation with a new team, even and a new member in that team, is we do a dramatic reading of the contract, so that everybody who's working on it understands what the client's expectations are, and we're going to over deliver. We always do that, but we don't want to spend too much time over delivering something that they haven't. Not only have they not asked for it, they maybe don't even want it. So we have to go backwards. It's no fun going backwards.
Align expectations with deliverables.
Right. Yes. And
So-
in our team, in our own office is
And that's unique to every project and every team member.
and particularly at BIG. We are often hired because the owner is actually looking for rebranding. I mean, we're doing, a baseball stadium that's going to not look like any other baseball stadium that's ever been built, because that's what they wanted in Las Vegas, of all places.
Ben, thanks for joining. I enjoyed the conversation.
Okay.